Perfect. Well, I am Shannon, and I have hijacked Andrew's Growing Pains with Andrew Heckman. And today I would like to introduce you to a special guest. And who,
Ahoy.
and who are you?
Well, I am in fact Andrew Heckman.
Oh, that is
Thank you for
exciting. That
thank
is
you for
exciting.
hosting the podcast. And I want to know, why did we do this? Why did we decide to do this, Shanball?
Well, there's a couple reasons because I always ask questions
Mm-hmm.
and I have a lot of questions.
And I love them.
And partly because I actually have questions on how we put the whole thing together.
Of course. And it's a brilliant way for us to just kind of share your questions for me with the whole world, the public,
Yes.
everybody, anybody who wants to watch.
Well, I think they're pretty normal questions.
For sure they are.
Yeah, I think they're pretty regular. And I actually don't know anything about hydroponic growing, really. I mean, yes, I do. I know that they grow in water, and I know
Yeah.
I know how to love plants.
Yep.
But I have never had anything hydroponically grown before. So through this adventure that we're on, then I ask a lot of questions.
And I try to answer as best I can. But that being said, I am on this adventure with you. And so I actually don't have all the answers. I have a lot of them. I've played with our systems for a long time. I'm the one who designed and built them. So they are the OGGO Growth Systems Incorporation, of course. And it all started because I was kind of getting sick and tired of the fact that I didn't have any grow kits in the area that I could buy that I wanted to have. I had some things that I wanted to do with my grow kits that I did not feel were possible with other stuff. And I don't know if possible is the right word, because I'm not sure that I knew the possibilities of everything that I was getting into as I started.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, like, I went through a few deep water culture systems and like recirculating deep water culture. A few of there wasn't really much in terms of top feed hydroponic systems when I first started growing back in 2011. Aeroponic cloners were, of course, a thing. They've been a thing since I would actually ask our lovely editor over there to I don't know who this person. Oh, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Jackie.
No, hey, nice to meet you. No, of course, this is just us reversing the roles here. But no, in all sincerity, like, you've heard the story, but I don't know if everybody else has heard the story. And
well, we could tell it again.
this is our podcast, so we can do what we want. So, back in 2011, the documentary. How long have they been out?
Well, I just asked when aeroponic growing started.
Oh,
1920s.
I believe it. It's old.
Yeah.
It's very.
Wow.
It's not new.
What specifically did you want me to look up?
When Easy Cloners came about, that was the first system that I really saw in action, and I fell in love with it. I kind of searched the web for it as best I could. I did find them available all down in the States, and over in Quebec they were easy to find. When were they?
It's specifically the company, though. Is that the company you want?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like,
okay, that's what AI found.
Okay.
1999.
Yeah, so they were in business for a few years before I even kind of discovered what aeroponics was. But basically, I watched a documentary and I saw a guy pull a little cutting out of an Easy Cloner, and it had a very white fishbone root dangling from it. And from that moment, I was kind of just like, my eyes lit up, and I thought, I don't know what this is, but I want to start to know kind of everything I can about it. And so that was honestly what led me to actually build my very first cloner. And it was, I won't say that it was state of the art or anything. It was rudimentary. There was a lot of trial, a lot of error, but I just loved it. I loved it so much, so I just kept building them, and basically how we ended up here today with talking about our systems is that 5 years ago I took my concepts that I'd learned about aeroponics and hydroponics and everything else with growing, and I took them outside, and of course the one who acted like I didn't know over there and I were partners on it for that first year, and we just worked our freaking asses off. And it was a lot, like, again, trial and error, but not so much error and a lot more trial. And then with that trial came some of the most beloved results I've ever seen in my life. I have it all on camera, so I'm very happy about that. But it was actually at this very table that we're sitting at that we harvested one plant, and it covered the entire table. That was our first year with Gorillaponics. We never got an official dried weight, but it was above 4 pounds. The wet weight was
That's
eight.
crazy.
Yeah, the wet weight was 8 kilos when we weighed it wet. It was just a massive pile of bud, and it was. I mean, like I said, I have the video clips of it, so it did happen. So I'll show you. But yeah, that was the part that kind of like, I guess, solidified the whole concept, because I had started using an easy cloner actually in a greenhouse at a friend's property, and in that greenhouse was not conducive to aeroponic cloning unless you have certain requirements met, i.e. you got to make sure your water is very, very cool, and you also want to make sure you got your VPD, humidity and temp are all in check
Right.
there. And then also, like the sunlight in greenhouses is obviously very, very extreme. I don't grow in greenhouses regularly, but at that time I was growing in one, and I quickly found out about like the heat and the light penetration and all that. And so you got to make sure that, of course, you don't have any of your water exposed to light, or as very little as possible, because of algae growth and heat. So
Right.
those were some lessons that I learned kind of very early on, very quickly. I boiled, I wouldn't say boiled, but got the water inside a cloner hot enough that it was, steaming, and the pump was
Really?
hot to the touch. And it was not a good scene. I came in, of course, all the plants were wilted, but that's how you learn how to do things in life, right? Just keep doing them wrong long enough, and eventually
Exactly. And then you learn the right way.
find a way to do it right. So, but then of course time went on, and we kept playing with that flagship model called Gorillaponics. All the while I was still cloning aeroponically, but starting to put the whole system together from clone all the way to like a massive outdoor harvest where everything is completely soilless is really something that I hope the world gets to experience with me more and more and more. I'm sure there are lots of other people who do it and have done it in other ways, of course, but honestly, to take a clone straight out of a cloner, take it outside with very little downtime or very little
Adjustment period?
yeah, adjustment period, no stress hardly at all. And like you should definitely put some sort of cloche over the plant when you take it outside to help protect it, but it does not react the same way that like a plant in soil does. It's very, very interesting to watch hydroponics and aeroponics interact with plants, because there's certain stressors just you don't see them the way that you do in a soil grower, or even like a soilless medium. So
That
yeah.
doesn't really make a lot of sense that it would be less stress. Like, I don't, why do you think it would be?
Again, I
No, do you have, oh, no, sorry.
So,
I know
no,
this is kind of
no.
a deep question.
No,
And
it's not, I'm glad you asked it, and I'll be very honest with you. I am just a farm kid. I'm a carpenter. I have a zest for building things, and so sometimes people ask me why these things work, and truthfully, I mean, there is a scientific answer. There is somebody who has done a scientific study on this stuff. I'm not that guy. I just really liked building these systems for myself, and I mean, I think probably the part of it that was the allure to me was the results being undeniable. So even though I wouldn't necessarily be able to pinpoint all the exact methods that the plant increases its growability on, I see it. And like, I can see it firsthand, and you can rock plants you could put one in soil and you could put one in a gorillaponics system side by side, and just watch them perform and see which one does better. And I know for a fact if you're running your gorillaponics system properly outdoors, it'll just smoke the competition. There's just no way around it. And personally, I mean, my experience has shown me that like water quality, light quality, air quality, if all of those things remain in check, it's very much easier to pull off like a pristine harvest that had little effort. It's when all of those things start to get out of whack that the recovery time on your growing becomes a little bit more difficult to manage. And so what I'm trying to say is it's far easier to stay on track right from the start and just remain, working hard
On the
and
path.
just stay on the path than to, one day of your water getting out of whack, one day of your pH being off, that's just one day against the quality of the plant. So, these are all things. And again, being an outdoor grower from the start, I didn't learn even how to grow indoors until 2019. So I like a lot of people that I used to grow with were like, "Whoa, you learned to grow outdoors." And for me personally, I always found that to be a little bit easier. Now, that being said, once I learned some of the indoor tactics, like carbon filtration on your air, and a solid schedule, of course, for your lighting, makes it very much easier to pull off a quality crop. That being said, outdoor has its own little twists and turns that you need to know about as well. But if you can manage to thwart off all of those little curveballs that nature throws at you, you're in for a far more substantial harvest, and one I think that you'd probably enjoy more anyways. So
I think so too. Like, I think the ultimate is to grow outside,
yeah.
right? Because that's kind
And
of where it should be. But in
and,
seasons that you can't,
and so I mean, well, that is the whole, honestly, that's the whole big mission of OGGO. Pardon me. I started all of this because we started at the end first. I didn't mean to. That's where we ended up. I was like, I love aeroponics so much that I want to go outside with it, and I want to prove that it works, and it'll work. And when it does work, we're gonna just show the world. But then you say aeroponics works outside, and people are like, first of all, what the fuck are you even talking about? So, what is aeroponics? Why does it work outside? There's always this laundry list of questions that comes with it. And so you were there for multiple discussions also where we were like, well, why don't we just start with an aeroponic indoor unit? And then still people were like, what are you talking about? So, the chain of command, it just kept kind of going. So we got down to a point where, and of course, talking with Andrew and Charlie over at Indoor Farmer there for many years about my designs and builds and all that stuff, they always asked me, they said, you got to get a Foresight automated grow system that is leak proof and easy to use. And if you can build that and you can market that properly, you're going to do just great. So
there isn't one? Or there isn't many?
I won't say there isn't.
Okay.
One. I would never say there isn't one because this is an industry where innovation comes in from the side.
Right.
And I mean that's just it. I talked with them and lots of other people, but of course in Canada 4 is the limit for your everyday
illegal
average
or legal legal amount.
Yeah. No, but honestly, that was the big driver was, can we get 4 plants into one unit? Can we make it accessible for the public? Does it need to be overcomplicated? Can it be user friendly? Is it robust enough to last grow after grow? Could you take it outside if you wanted to? These are all great questions that we were asked, and of course we talked about too as a group. So that's how we ended up with the Foresight top feed hydroponic system.
Okay.
And that was the first product that we unveiled from OGGO, and that is honestly to get people's appetite ready for all the other stuff that we have to come at OGGO, because it's not just a one unit system. We designed those net pods, we designed our Gorilla Strength trainers, all our little products, even our like the Gorilla Grip, all that fun stuff. We want to be able to make it so that every different style of lid or every different style of manifold that you get, there's some other feature that is also added on so that you understand some of the past procedures, but you can also understand that there's another, not level, I shouldn't say level, but there's certainly another dynamic of, and again, it's not even complexity. Once you learn it all, the systems themselves are very simple and straightforward. It's just a matter of being properly trained and having repetition. So,
that is actually true. And because I can say that, because I've put my own kit together, my own garden.
And how do you like it? Just out of curiosity, what do you like? What is it that you've been drawn to or don't like or whatever,
I have to say I love all of it.
Okay.
I love the fact that
Thank you.
I love you because
Well,
no,
I love you too, Shannon.
okay, thank you. Okay, no, I do love it because it was so exciting. I've never grown anything hydroponically before, and my mom and dad had one of those other kind of kits for small stuff, right? But
Yeah, the
it
Aero
only
Garden.
goes, yeah,
Yep.
it only goes so high. So that's great. I can grow some herbs and stuff like that, but I can't grow like a tomato plant per se, right?
Yep.
And not that I'm a big user of herbs like that anyways. Maybe I will be now, but
You should be dill. I put dill on everything. I don't know if
Okay.
you like dill like that.
I do, but I'm not sure if I'd want it on everything.
That's okay.
It's good.
Okay,
It is.
I'm-
I don't know. Just you might be surprised.
Okay, I might decide to like it. Okay, so I like the fact that then I started these babies inside at like beginning of March,
Yep.
and now I have substantial plants in not even just past mid-April, and right, if I had to wait for my garden, I'd still be waiting because I can't plant yet for another 3 weeks.
Yep. And if I'm not mistaken, you like it so much you got 2 of them,
I do have 2.
and you have a 4 and an 8.
I
if
have
I'm
a
not
4 and
mistaken.
an 8. And so what I have learned, I've learned a bunch too.
Yeah. I want to hear every single thing that you've learned.
I really love the 8 site, but obviously I have things that don't really want to grow in there.
Yep.
Or no, are going to be too big for that. So the tomatoes need to come out. The sunflower, obviously, I'm probably going to put outside. What else do I have in there? Romaine, which is fine. The morning glory is going to go outside because it's going to go all crazy. It doesn't really like the grow kit.
That's okay. I don't know that every plant does or should. I know, there are certain plants that are just not adapted to that much water. And the other thing that we discussed as a team, our timer that we included in our kit is a variable speed, right? You can, if you know, like, this is for any grower out there who knows the timing of their system, because not everyone grows cannabis or tomatoes or lettuce. I'm sure there are people growing exotic plants or something that does not need
That
as
much water.
right? So
Oh.
that's the thing about your kit is that you're free to kind of experiment. Maybe the plant that you're speaking on does not need that much water. Maybe it needs a little more. It's all kind of but this is the beauty of the
I never
kit
even
is
thought
that
about that.
I don't have. This is it. I don't have all the answers. I really love growing. That's how I got to this. I'm a freaking carpenter, for freak's sake. So it's like, somebody could easily look at a big bearded dude like me and say, you have no business in a garden. But I personally think everybody has a lot of business in the garden. We all eat food every day, so it's like we should think about at least where it comes from, and if you can't get it there, what can you do for yourself? How long is that going to take? Are you able to do it in any sort of weather? Do you have a space for it in your home where you can dedicate that? Like, these are all good questions that every single person, especially in Canada, should be asking themselves, right? Like,
Our limited grow time.
We have the worst. That was like 9 months of winter. I never want to have a winter like that ever again.
That was horrible.
So I'm glad I had grow rooms to keep me sane and keep the light on my eyelids and eye sockets and all that.
No, that was really
light
therapy.
therapy.
So
it was a long winter.
you figure
dark winter. So.
farmers have always been planting well before now, and you've only just barely gotten on your land. So
Exactly.
how far has that put the garden behind?
And I mean, yeah, there's just hearing you describe the joy that you have in your kit and the fact that your parents had that Aero Garden. I'm not going to try and mince words, like the Aero Garden, and now I guess Spider Farmer also has a kit like that Aero Garden, the little one.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely, I call it crucial for how you start your plants. You can start them in your little sponges or little soil.
Safe.
There's all kinds, and even rock wool cubes are A-okay for starting seedlings and then transferring them into a net pot for your system. But I personally find just those soilless plugs put into the machine, and the water's perfect. It starts it off on a hydroponic drip right away, and then the plant kind of just gets accustomed to being bare rooted, being out in a reservoir, and then from there, I mean, you can go any number of directions with it. And again, that's one of those things that I'm hoping as time goes on is that I can really convey and I guess we just found out that aeroponics has been around for over 100 years, right? So I'm like, let's have a 100-year celebration with OGGO or something, because I feel like if it's been around for 100 years, there's been some people slacking on it, because this is full of potential. And like, you've seen some of my other builds, right? So we got, we've got the did you see the Silverback Mini? It has roots. We cut those clones like 6-7 days ago with Jacob, and they're
Really?
Yes, and they are looking voluptuous. so like, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, we've got our own little cloner coming, the mothership. We've got the Silverback Mini, Gorillaponics, the Gorilla Tub, and of course our little Gorilla Garden that we launched first to get everybody in the mood for growing with water and doing what they do, and learning, water sciences. That's a big thing, and that's what I said to our whole group, is like, let's get it so people don't get scared away. I don't want them to get scared away. Like, in your opinion, you're brand new to hydroponics.
Is it scary?
How do you like it now that you've run the kit and you're like, oh, this is it?
It's actually amazingly simple. And so much so that I challenged my dad to have to get his garden ready. And actually, I had the whole garden ready, and it took way longer for him to get the water, like, in the basement in a bucket up to the garden.
Yeah. Well, that's,
like,
that's
it
just
is easy.
Like, so, like, for people growing in apartments, I can only, like, we were talking about making a reel. Can you imagine you're in a freaking apartment building and you got like 250-liter bags of soil in your hands, and you got to go up an elevator, and then something gets caught on something, and that's hoping
you have a patio or a deck or
even if it was in a grow tent, you know what I mean. But like, if you just bringing soil into a building, that is like, I don't like the concept of that. I don't even like necessarily my house plants sitting in soil, but that's an innovation for another year. Let's get through 2025 first. But seriously, like, soil, like, okay, another perfect example is Jax. When do we only have pest issues? When do we have the worst pest issues in our grow room?
Soil in the grow room.
When we bring freaking soil into our freaking grow room, and that's
really
the whole truth of it. I mean, it just makes sense.
Soil has no pests in it.
Well, but even that, like, even that's just where anything that would come in would just burrow, right? That's where it's going to go.
Fair enough.
It's not going to stick around in a reservoir because it'll drown.
Yeah, exactly.
So that part of it is like almost self-explanatory. I mean, that when our grow rooms are ship shape, they're so freaking clean. I love it. That's the whole point of the cleanliness factor, especially in, like, I designed my grow rooms, even though I'm just an ACMPR grower, I designed them like an industrial grade grow facility, because that's what I want to own someday. You and I have talked
We've talked about that kind of thing.
Yeah, we want to own one someday, and we will. We'll get there. But the cleanliness factor is, like, really, really what draws me to it in terms of, like, an industrial grade solution, because the less time you have to spend cleaning your grow room and managing pests, the more time you can spend spraying, defoliating, managing your water, like, relaxing, take time off from work instead of,
not have to keep working in the garden.
Yeah, I mean, gardens are great, but everybody has a limit.
I'm pretty sure my mom and dad are in the garden a lot, right? You got to water in the morning.
Yeah.
And then you get eaten by mosquitoes. And then, right, you got to water it through the day if it's crazy hot, or keep an eye on things.
Can I just, I'm going to just pause on that thought there.
Go right ahead.
You know me. I am the owner of a carpentry company. I'm the owner of a grow system company. I have a hobby farm, 4 dogs. I love to motorcycle, snowmobile, camp, go up north, drive trucks around, go Charizard hunting, smoke hella weed, have barbecues, sauna, all of that stuff. But how is it that I have, like, 2 huge grow rooms running nonstop and I never have to hand water? Whoa!
No, that is so. That is, like, so cool.
Think now. Let's scale this out here, because this is what's happened. 5 years, because it started 5 years ago. Really starting to implement automation of all the watering, all the, the lights, everything got scheduled, and then even taking it outdoors for aeroponics, I can leave for 4 days at a time, as long as the water quality, and again, with water quality, I find the higher the feed level, the easier it is to maintain pH. That's not necessarily always true for everyone.
The higher the what? The higher what?
The higher your feed level, so like your ppm or your EC, depending on what you use as a grower.
Is that like a fertilizer or?
Well, ppm and EC would be the way that you quantify how much fertilizer is in the water.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So when you're using those probes down in my grow room,
yeah,
and they're giving you those numbers, you're looking at the ppm, and so with certain additives will just start to crank up the numbers in that ppm chart. So you as a grower, it's kind of pertinent that like you don't necessarily have to stick to one fertilizer or one nutrient company, but you certainly want to be very much aware of like the base level of your water. And again, this is all like, I'm not trying to overcomplicate this for people that have never grown before or never grown hydroponically, because for a lot of things like lettuce, it's just as easy as putting water into it and the lettuce will do its thing. It doesn't require a lot of pH stabilization. It can grow in kind of any water quality, stuff like that. So
yeah,
lettuce is very, very forgiving. So it's a great spot for people to start. You don't necessarily need a probe or a ppm reader or anything like that. As you get into more high value crops, say, I guess, marijuana, tomatoes, peppers, all that stuff, they all require a little bit more diligence on your water quality. You just want to remain within the optimal range of pH, that's parts hydrogen. You just want to remain in that zone there so that the plant can kind of uptake all of its various nutrients that it needs to survive. If it were in soil, it would probably, I say probably because not all soil is the same. And not all water is the same, right? So town water versus country water.
Well water,
yeah,
yep.
It's very much different, but not all soil is the same. So ideally, when you plant a seed in soil, you think, great, it's got all its nutrients down there. When it rains, it'll get the roots wet, and this is the circle of life. But as we get into gardening more and more, it's a little more, there's a little more to it than that, right?
The soil has to be happy. It has to have whatever nutrients it needs in it, right? Certain plants like more, I don't even know what, but they don't like to be in certain places or with shade or like it's a whole
exactly
a lot of things.
So like again, we've talked about this a lot before because I'm a marijuana grower, but also I have a passion for getting out into the garden for all sorts of reasons. But basically, I've been trained on how to grow marijuana hydroponically. And so I understand that the range for that ideally is 5.5 to 6.1. Now, if you were to look at like just Google ideal pH range for marijuana, you would see all kinds of graphs. And basically the graph shows each of the micro and macro nutrients that a plant needs. And then it'll also show you the pH scale going across the right. And basically there's a little bubble for each of the macro and micronutrients, and that bubble kind of describes the ideal placement of the pH. So if you look down the center of the pH scale, it's probably about 5.7 or 5.8, and that's where you'll get all the bubbles kind of meet in
everything
the center,
is happy.
right? So what I do though is, because a plant requires stress to live, that's just plant 101, wind, sun, all of those things cause stress. So when you're feeding hydroponically, this is just my own personal preference. Other people will probably kill me dead for this, but I range it all the way from 5.5 to 6.2, only because I can ensure that the plant has then gotten the brunt of its macro and micronutrients. So
interesting.
Mm-hmm. So it's just, and all throughout the growth cycle, there are more ideal pHs. So, for instance, at the start of a marijuana growing cycle, it's very much similar to the end, and also the nutrients that you would use at the start of the growth cycle and at the end are very similar. So it's almost like a parabola of sorts.
That makes kind of sense. Yep, I like that.
Yeah. So there's, the book to your right there. That is, hold that one up. I'll give Jorge Cervantes a shout out here, because that is that's the jam right there. Everybody should own that book. Everybody should have a copy of that book if you like growing marijuana.
The Grower's Bible.
I think that one's from like literally 2008. Like it's an old book, so I've had it for a long time.
Wow.
It
This is an old book.
It has the chart that describes what I just said.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I highly advise everybody read that.
I do not have this Bible.
You can
I can borrow it?
You can borrow that one.
Okay.
I'll buy you one. I think I know what I'm going to get you for your birthday. I think I know exactly what I'm going to get you
Excellent.
for your birthday.
I need a new book.
But no, so I mean, these are all things that I've come across and dealt with in the last specifically 5 years. But like I said, I started way back in 2011. I did not own a water tester. I did not understand water temperature, light, quality, any of those things. But I did start, and I had like a mean hunger for it. And I don't know why that was, but I mean, here we are now. We got OGGO rocking everywhere. A lot of people have taken interest in it, and I figured, what a good way for us to maybe just shed a little bit of light on how we got here, what we're thinking people should use this kit for. I'm not going to lie, it's not necessarily for a beginner, but for a lot of people that are wanting to try and get into the realm of hydroponics, I would say it's right up there for like the kits that you would say, all right, I'm going to put this in my grow tent and throw it under a light and let's see what we can do with it. And that's what I want people to do, because it's very foolproof and it's leak proof. Like that was one thing that we insisted on our first one. We didn't want stupid little drips and stuff like that. That's
there are no drips.
The bane of my life. So, we're getting better every time we build one.
Well, and I don't think I do love to garden, and I know my way around the garden per se with dirt.
Yeah.
But I haven't found it stressful at all, and I'm just really excited to see what's going to happen.
That's good. And so another thing on that is, like, I've found a really interesting thing, and I don't know how this will correlate to the Gorilla Garden, but certainly the wastewater that comes out of my grow rooms, because it's so, not loaded with nutrients, but it's been treated with nutrients, and it's been pH treated and all that stuff. So I think to myself, don't waste it, don't pour it down the drain. So I take that treated water and I'll put it right onto my food gardens and everything else, any decorative stuff around the yard. And it's a great way to recycle that water, because plants need it anyways, and you might as well just give up what you've already spent money on for them and just pass it around to the rest of your soil garden as your...
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, so there you go.
When I changed my water.
Yeah, well, that's okay. You've only changed it
once
or twice. That's okay. I've seen it at facilities where they changed their water every 2 weeks and it went straight to a sewer. So
that's kind of wasteful.
It was terribly wasteful and it drove me batty. So I decided to make my own company where we didn't waste water. So.
That is a good idea. And how often do I need to change my water?
I would advise the 2 weeks. It's a good.
Okay.
It is a good little. It is a good little moment in time to swap your water. It's just long enough that you get a good amount of recycling out of it, and then and that's not even necessarily swap it. You could even just top it up.
Oh, like a fish tank, just take part out.
Yeah, you want to just kind of make sure that your the water remains somewhat fresh.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. But the beautiful thing about a top feed hydroponic system is that as even if you were to put in, we've talked about this too, even if you were to put in some chlorinated water from say a town system, it begins to aerate immediately just via the fact that you pump the water up and it falls back down into the reservoir. And
it's so, also a really cool sound. So if you like the sound of water, it is amazing.
Just that little trickling through the stones.
I love it.
It is very good. It's a very calming
therapeutic
sensation. Yes, and I mean that is the benefit to that system, is that you'll begin to get rid of that chlorination immediately, and even with well water, we talked about it as well. You're devoid of oxygen, and so the system immediately begins to add oxygen into the water just through the fact that the water is falling back into a reservoir.
Well, and because it's not stagnant either, it's constantly moving, so that's helping water too. You make good sense.
And I got a question for you. What did you set? Everybody's got their own preference for their timer. What did you set yours to? What did you do?
I set it to what you said.
Oh, you can do 4 minutes off, 20 seconds on. That's a good one for weed.
Okay, well, my whole garden is getting weeded, but I don't think it needs to be watered that much.
Well, you turn it down. You just turn it down a little
Oh, I
But
could.
it's all.
I just did what you
trial by
said. I
Shannon
just
ball.
did 420 because that's what you said.
Wouldn't it be ironic if that was okay? Weed's 100 fucking years, or no, aeroponics is 100 years old. What if that was the formula for it? 100 years ago, and they were like, we gotta condemn 420. We don't want people to know the code. We don't want people to know what the code is for. Now I'm back, and I'm like, 4 minutes off, 20 seconds on. Tell the world. Tell them. Shout it from the rooftops. That's all you need to know. Grow your weed at home, folks. Yeah.
I set mom and dad's at 422 because that's what you said. 420.
It's in all honesty, that's a great base point, right? That covers all the bases. So, all right. So, that being said,
I do have more questions, so I might have to hijack you again
would you want
to ask more.
I wonder if we could just do a whole nother episode. Is that okay?
Like another time?
Is that okay?
Yeah, perfect. Because I still have, we answered a lot. And I actually I learned something new every time we talk. So I did learn something new today.
That is the whole point of this.
That is the whole point. And I got to say, I love my garden. And
Good.
I'm
good.
so excited.
Very good. Well, let's keep spreading the good word. Let's tell everybody. Let's get some people some of these gardens.
Yeah, check it out. You will love it. I swear.
There you go. So, all right, we'll wrap it up there, and then I will definitely come back because sitting in this seat is like...
It's uncomfortable?
I totally love it. I didn't know how much I
Oh, you liked it?
Oh, yeah. Fuck, I could be a guest on my own show.
Well, that's because you talk a lot. So it doesn't really matter. You could, make conversation no matter what.
I could just sit here and do the interview myself.
You could. Like, if we were in a car together, there would be there wouldn't be any conversation breaks, like odd, weird.
I get boring if it's just me by myself.
Well, yes, of course you would.
Right, just a monologue, I gotta have you to talk to, Shanball. We bounce stuff off each other. We get laughing. So, anyways, yeah, let's do this again because I loved it.
Well, thank you very much for being on my show that I hijacked from Andrew.
Woo-hoo.
And check it out at OGGOgrown.com and get your own grow kit because I tell you, you will like it.
Growing Pains with Shannon Bo.